Hi, my loves. This one's not really going to be an easy one to swallow for a lot of people, but this is one that I also had to learn as well. And it was a very, very valuable lesson. So I'm here to share it. There are people in our lives that we love. And just like us, they have to go through shit too. Okay? Because it's just life. There's things that we have to go through in order to grow. Things that are going to challenge us, trials, whatever. Things that are uncomfortable. The common theme with all of these is that watching them go through it can make us feel uncomfortable. Right? Because we love them. We don't want to see them go through blah, 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 blah. There's like a protective nature in us when we see those we love go through things that are difficult. Okay, we want to like save them, protect them, whatever. And so I'm guilty of this too. I used to do this. So, and I had to learn the value in not doing this. So I would see my loved ones go through things, or even something as mild as an argument with each other, whatever it is. And it would raise these uncomfortable feelings in me. And then I would want to save the situation so they can not go through that anymore, or it can end. But what I realized is that as good as my intentions were, it doesn't mean that what I'm doing is the best thing. Follow me here. All right. Sometimes we have to allow them to go through whatever they feel they need to go through, or allow them to face the consequences of the decisions that they make in order to learn from it. And if you try to save them all the time, then you're actually doing them a disservice. Follow me, okay? Follow me here. If I haven't already triggered you yet, it's coming. Okay? Just like we need trials and challenges and things in life and to face our own consequences of our, of our own actions and behaviors and thoughts and etc. They need that too. And I know it can be uncomfortable to watch them go through it, especially if it's right in front of you. But one of the wisest and one of the most loving and bravest thing that you can do is allow them to go through the consequences necessary for their growth. Because if you shield them all the time, they'll never know the true consequence of their own actions, and they're going to keep going or get worse. That's where the disservice comes in. You can't shield them from the inevitable. What happens when you're not around? They're going to crumble. You've weakened them by trying to save them all the time. You're doing them a disservice. They cannot get strong if you prevent them from doing the thing in the first place that makes them strong, which is face their own shit. It is literally one of the greatest gifts that you can ever give anyone you love, is to allow them to face the consequences of their actions and decisions. Whatever that may be, however hard it may be, whatever it looks like. Because without that, you rob them of the experience of being able to have the opportunity to grow. So, and then, you ready? It can also be not about them. That uncomfortability has nothing to do with their experience, but it's just your uncomfortability in general. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel uncomfortable, because you love them. So it's going to hit a nerve. It's going to hit something in you because you love them. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel that way. What I am saying is that when you do feel that way, it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. And that you have to learn to manage how you feel and learn how to manage your decisions and your actions in the midst of being uncomfortable. That way, that uncomfortability does not have the ability to drive your decisions. For example, let's say two of my loved ones are arguing in front of me. Blah, 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 back and forth. Right? And I start to feel a way inside because I love you and I see you both are uncomfortable and you're going at it, and I now feel uncomfortable, right? Then what I used to do is try to stick myself in it and try to be the mediator or whatever. Try to be the voice of reason or something to where they can get to a point where they understand each other instead of going at it. But what actually happens, no matter how good my intentions are, it actually makes it worse because I'm not letting it just play out however, go ahead. I'm not letting it play out just however it needs to play out for them to diffuse the situation. Go ahead. Park, go ahead. So it would actually make it worse, and it would cause more frustration than what it needed to do in the first place. And I started seeing that it was just me being uncomfortable in the situation. There we go. That it was me being uncomfortable in the situation, and I was trying to stop the uncomfortability when I could have just managed it and put it into perspective that this doesn't have anything to do with me in the first place, and that I need to manage my own uncomfortability. And where is my uncomfortability coming from? And start asking myself the questions instead of projecting my uncomfortability onto them by trying to stop or save the situation so that I can stop my own sense of uncomfortability with it. Because I know it feels noble. I know it feels right to do that, right? It feels like you're helping them. But what you're actually doing is hurting the situation. Not intentionally. You have good intentions, but you have to allow things to run their course without your interference so that it can get to the place it needs to get to. Same thing if you have a loved one that, let's go for the worst. Let's say they're spiraling and there's consequence after consequence, bad experience after bad experience. That's where there's more power in you surrendering than you trying to stick yourself in it and save it. You can't save anyone, especially from themselves. You can't. You cannot do that. You are not more powerful than what they choose to want to do or not do. You're not more powerful than their beliefs. You're not more powerful than what they choose to do based on beliefs and patterns and experiences that they had. That will always trump anything you're trying to do, no matter how good it is. You cannot save anyone except yourself, because you only have that ability with yourself. They have to save themselves, and they have to want it enough, and they have to be okay with the change enough for it to happen. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what you do. It's not happening. So that's just one of the worst case scenarios, but we can even bring it back into just simple arguments that people have on a daily basis. You're doing more for your loved ones and for yourself and for your own peace of mind and for your own inner emotional strength by allowing things to run their course. That you are by trying to stick yourself in it like you're Superman, because you're not. You're not. The only Superman you are for is for you. Learn what you cannot control and what you can control. And one of the things that you'll never be able to control is other people's pace of change and their journey and whatever it looks like. All you can do is hold love for them and a safe space as long as it's not hurting you. That's all you can do. You could give advice, maybe, if they call for it. You can, like I said, one of the bravest things is to be able to hold space while managing your own uncomfortability, not allowing your own uncomfortability to interfere with other people's journeys, because that journey is not yours. That uncomfortability is yours alone. It's not theirs. You have to be able to get to a point in your strength, in your inner strength and your emotional maturity, to be able to sit with uncomfortable feelings without allowing them to control what kind of decisions and behaviors that you do. You got to be able to get to that point in yourself where you can notice the uncomfortability rising, simultaneously allowing the safe space for your uncomfortable emotions to be felt and passed, while also managing and understanding that you are the observer of those emotions. You're not those emotions. You are the observer and the manager of those emotions, and that you can still steer your behavior and manage your behavior and your actions and your words separate of the uncomfortability, and allowing people to go through what they need to go through and face the consequences that are crucial for their growth, no matter whether you understand it or not, because it's not for you to understand. It's their journey and their journey alone. All you can do is hold space while also working on your own emotional intelligence and maturity, and also learning how to be okay with putting boundaries where necessary, so you could protect your inner peace while you hold space for your loved ones. I know that was a lot to swallow, but that's what it takes. And it's brave. It's a brave thing to do, to be able to do that. Because it's easy to want to stick yourself in and try to save it. It's easier to do that. It's easier to try to be the savior complex of the situation and try to stop the situation so you could stop feeling uncomfortable as well. It's easier to do that. It's harder and it's braver, and it takes a lot more courage and self-management to be able to hold space while allowing your emotions to be felt and validated, while also simultaneously managing your actions and your perception and your behavior and your choices, and holding boundaries at the same time, while also holding space for them. It takes quite a bit of emotional intelligence and maturity to do that. And to hold yourself accountable if you do try to if you do find yourself starting to stick yourself in it and pull yourself out, and hold yourself accountable and allow them to continue to face whatever it is that they need to face for their own growth and their own benefit, no matter what it looks like. So I encourage you guys to work on that. And if this resonates you, I encourage you to work on that, and to know that you're not alone, and it doesn't make you a bad person to step away and learn how to have boundaries. Is actually healthy for both you and the person that you love. It's healthier. And it's very healthy for your sense of inner peace. Because you cannot keep your inner peace intact if you don't have boundaries to protect it. If you see that this is something that cannot be helped with and you need to step back and surrender, you also have to place a boundary there so that you don't try to dive in again. And you can hold yourself accountable if you try. And then have the courage and the strength, the emotional fortitude to step back and go back into surrender. And know that it's not your place. And to feel your feelings and validate them, validate your uncomfortability, while also managing your decisions and respecting your boundaries at the same time. I love you. Much love.